The Tennis Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code SGPN. Get 50% bonus up to $1,000. It's about Edge Boost. For $700 per month on your sports gambling transactions. Go to edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm, the leading data from picks and props. Rhythm's also giving away its $250 future and throwing a March Madness party. Go to sportsgambling.com/party for details. And welcome, everybody, to the Tennis Game Podcast here on the Sports Game Podcast Network. It's currently Sunday afternoon, roughly 5:45 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm your host, Scott Reichel, once again going solo for the pod, and it is time to get into the three upcoming ATP events. We have Acapulco, we have Dubai, and we have Santiago. So we're going to preview all of the outrights in this episode for those three events. I thought about maybe doing a separate episode for Acapulco, but luckily there were odds up, so we decided to merge it all into one. Now, for the quarter odds, we only have quarter odds in Dubai, so we're going to break down the quarters for that event. Not going to do the same for Acapulco and Santiago. Either way, though, before we get into the actual preview of the three events of the upcoming week, I want to remember once again that you can show support for the show by subscribing on YouTube. Reminder, you can also leave a rating and a review on Spotify or Apple. I think we're 3 away from 800 subscribers on YouTube, so hopefully you can help us get there, as that was the goal for the end of the month. So once again, 3 away. You can let the, once again, podcast grow, or help it grow by just spreading the, I'd say, awareness about the podcast and just helping, once again, the subscriber count go up. Don't forget also, the podcast is also on Spotify or Apple, so you can leave a rating and a review if you want to listen to it on audio versions only. Spotify and Apple, don't forget to leave a rating and a review. Plus, a reminder, check out the merch store on the SGPN website. We have autographed Tennis Game Podcast merch with sweatshirts, t-shirts, and mugs, different colors, high quality, and also affordable. Recommend getting yourself something, and great deal with the network because we have a promo going on for the merch store. Merch Madness. Promo code Madness for 20% off in the SGPN store. Get it now before the promo code is done. So once again, if you want to get yourself a Tennis Game Podcast shirt or a sweatshirt or a mug, don't forget to use the code Madness at checkout for 20% off. Now, starting off with the recap of the last episode, in case you did miss it, we did a live stream this morning for the final in Rio. So we ended up breaking it down. I think that was like 8 a.m. Eastern time. But point is, we finally got lines out, decided to get it done, and we ended up having a decent episode for the lock and dog. Starting off for the lock, it was definitely not easy, but we got there. It was the under 5.5 aces in the Baez and Muller match, a -150. Got there as the match did land 5. Serious sweat, though. You had 4 aces in the first set, and then eventually you ended up seeing 1 in the second set as Baez killed Muller in the final. So straight sets, I'd say domination, definitely helped us cash this prop. Either way, though, nice win for the lock. For the dog, bad read. I thought Muller would make the match very competitive, and he did not. I was a bit concerned about the 3-set marathon he had against Comasagna in the Saturday semifinal, but I thought he might overcome it. Point is, though, wasn't close. Baez killed him, and as a result, the dog play did lose. But once again, did hit the lock with the under aces, so it could be worse. Ended up splitting the lock and dog picks. For the bright side, though, ended up having another outright win. We had Baez to win Rio at 14-1. We have been honestly just amazing for the outrights this season. I have to look through how many we've won, but I swear we've won an outright on like 80% of events this year. It has been just an insane heater for the outrights, and another 14-1 ended up cashing as Baez defended his title and won it again in Rio with a pretty easy draw, and then he found his gear in the semifinal after dropping the first set to Ugo Carabelli. He dominated the last 4 sets in the event, and he was able to win at 14-1. So overall, just a great year for us so far in outrights, and hopefully you've been tailing, because we have been cleaning up. So in addition to Baez at 14-1, we had Draper to win the quarter, and we had Felix to win the quarter in the other event over there in Doha. So a very good week for us for the outrights. Hopefully we'll keep it rolling here as we have 3 events, and hopefully we end up cashing a few more outright titles for the upcoming slate. Now, getting into the brief recap of the final once again, what happened in Rio, it was very, very one-sided. Baez absolutely killed them. It was 6-2, 6-3. It really just felt like Baez was a step ahead for the entire match. Muller it felt like slow over the course of the entire match, whether it involved fatigue, a lack of sleep, or all the above. Baez, though, looked great. It felt like he finally found the forehand he was looking for in that semifinal and was able to carry that over into the final. But he ended up winning 13% more points on the first serve. He won 21% more on the second serve as well. So when your serving disparity is that big or that much in your favor, you're going to win, and that's what happened. As you ended up seeing Muller get broken 5 times. Baez got broken once, but still ended up seeing Baez win comfortably. Really, really good clay player. I know that it's the, I'd say, main piece of the calendar year where he ends up thriving, which is the, I'd say, South American swing. But either way, point is Baez, we were going to back almost in every clay event, and he was able to come through for us. Not the best start to the year for him, but he was able to find his groove at the right time, winning another 500 title. We'll see how he does in potentially the upcoming event this week. If he ends up playing, he might drop out. We'll see what happens in Santiago. He's scheduled to play right now. He has a bye in the first round. We'll see if he shows up again, but point is a nice win there for Baez and a nice win for us for the outright and for the lock play. Now, time to get into the actual preview of the, we'll do Dubai first. I know according to the actual order of matches, Dubai is first, but we are going to do it anyway because it's the only event we have actual quarter odds for. So starting off with the Dubai preview. Recent winners. I saw Humbert beat Bublik last year. That was the event where Rublev got disqualified in the semifinal against Bublik. Medvedev beat Rublev in the year prior. Rublev beat Vesely, saw Karatsev beat Harris, Djokovic beat Tsitsipas. Common theme, though, you have seen different champions. There's been no back-to-back champion since 2015. So you tend to see a new winner every year. Now, for the quarter odds here, first quarter, this is the Medvedev quarter. He's plus 160. You have Humbert at 3-1. You have Leheshka at 450. Pericard's back at 650. Greek Sports 9-1. Zhang is 14-1. Struff is 20-1. And Safulin is 22-1. So the question is, Medvedev has a pretty good draw, but do I trust him enough to actually take him to 160? Hell no, I do not. Now, his draw once again is favorable. He has Struff in the first round. Pericard or Zhang could be interesting in the second round, but the other half of the draw is pretty interesting because you have Humbert, Leheshka, Greek Sport, and Safulin in the same section there. So you are avoiding Leheshka and Humbert until the potential quarterfinal matchup. Brutal draw, though, for Leheshka and Humbert because they're both really good, and they're both going against each other in the first round. So based on the draw, yes, I know that Medvedev has a pretty favorable opportunity to make it into the semis. I can't back him. Whether it's food poisoning or underachieving, he's not worth it for me. Not worth the sweat. I'll pass on him. Now, Leheshka, I said before, plays against Humbert in the first round, but Humbert's defending champion. I am going to take him at 3-1. We saw him win a title in France, in Marseille, about a week or two ago. And I do think Leheshka might be fatigued. He had a pretty long run in Doha before losing to Draper in the semis in the 3-set marathon. I think Humbert is the better player right now. I think Humbert will extract enough errors from Leheshka, and I do think that Humbert's game translates well to the courts here. Give me Humbert to get the job done at around 3-1. You could argue that he would be, I don't want to say a potential favorite over Medvedev, but I think he would be, in my opinion, the choice I'd go with if they were facing off against each other. So give me Humbert at 3-1 as my first choice. For the second one, I am going to try to jump on the bottom half of the bracket because I do think you're looking at, or I should say the quarter, because I do think you're looking at an opportunity where Leheshka and Humbert might kill each other. You're looking at Medvedev and Pericard maybe having a battle there. But I am going to go with Greek Sport at 9-1. I think 9-1's too high. I think he should beat Safulin. Safulin's been struggling for the last year or so, and you're looking at Leheshka and Humbert once again going against each other in the first round. If Greek Sport gets by Safulin, which he should, 9-1's too high. I understand he'd be a dog against either Leheshka or Humbert, and he'd be a dog against Medvedev. But would he be favored against Pericard? Maybe. That's a possibility. But 9-1, I just think it's a little bit too steep, and I think there is some value with the good serving that Greek Sport does have. Give me Greek Sport at 9-1 as my second choice here for the first quarter. Moving on to the second quarter. This is going to be the Dimitrov quarter. Dimitrov is 260. Berrettini is 330. Kashanov's 350. Tsitsipas is 5-1. Monfils 7-1. Sonego is 11-1. Evans is 20-1. And O'Connell is 22-1. Now, Dimitrov has not played recently that much. He lost to Heshka in the first match in Doha, but he's been injured, so we'll see how he looks. Now, he's against O'Connell in the first round of qualifiers, so a decent draw there. Monfils and Berrettini, though, are against each other in the first round, which might be the best first-round match of the tournament, besides maybe Leheshka and Humbert. So those two guys, I'm going to have to skip. Monfils, I think, is a good price at 7-1. Berrettini was in good form in Doha. I will pass on both those guys based on how tough the draw is. Tsitsipas I have to pass on, who's been an absolute head case for about 2 straight years. Sonego could make it interesting in the first round, maybe. Evans against Kashanov. Kashanov's been a mess lately. Evans is actually 5 in a lifetime against Kashanov. So based on process of elimination, I really don't have many guys. I think you're looking at what should be a pretty unpredictable quarter, but I am going to go with Dimitrov at 260. I think O'Connell is one of the better draws you could get in that quarter. Monfils and Berrettini might kill each other. Monfils has not played for a while since retiring mid-Australian Open. And you're looking at Berrettini, who played a lot of tennis in Doha, losing in the once again, a pretty respectable run there in Doha, but still fell a bit short. So based on the actual, I'd say, people that I trust here in this quarter, you don't have many. I think Sonego's got an argument if you want to go for a longer shot at around 11-1, but I think that Dimitrov at 260 is worth the, I'd say, price, in my opinion. I'll go with him as my only choice there for the second quarter, even though there are some injury concerns. Moving on to the third quarter. For some reason, we have no third quarter odds. Why? I have no idea. We're going to have to skip the third quarter because we don't have anything on it. Truth is, the quarter is very weak. It would be Rublev or pass, but I don't have any odds on that. So I'm going to have to skip the third quarter at this point in time. Moving on to the fourth quarter. This is the de Minaur quarter. So de Minaur is plus 130. Felix is plus 240. Fees is 5-1. Papirin is 9-1. Borges is 11-1. Bublik, defending runner-up, is 14-1. Cilic is 20-1. And Habib is 50-1. Now, for the actual quarter, I am going to go de Minaur at 130. I like his draw, and I like his overall game. Yes, he did lose in a 3-set marathon to Rublev. Rublev, though, won the event, so not going to be too mad at him for that. Cilic, though, in the first round, neither Papirin or Habib in the second round. A great overall draw for de Minaur to reach the quarters, and you're looking at the other guys in his section, Fees, Borges, Bublik, or Felix. Felix might be fatigued after having that marathon loss to Rublev in the semis in Doha. We'll see how he looks. The point is, Bublik, we know, can be a head case. Fees has really not had a great year, and Borges, I think, is fine, not great. Great draw for de Minaur. I think that he's definitely worthy of taking at plus 130, but I am going to go with a longer shot. I know it's very risky. Felix, though, I think physically was really starting to feel the effects of playing a bunch of tennis, come back from injury, actually, to make it to the semis in Doha. He has Bublik in the first round. Not a great draw for Bublik, but I am going to take a spin here with the runner-up from last year. Give me Bublik at 14-1. I think it's too big of a price. I understand the argument is he's been bad this year and he's a head case, but he is the defending runner-up here. He has played well here. I think maybe he'll have some pride and showcase some good performances. Felix, though, if he's still exhausted or maybe even injured, I think it's a decent path for Bublik to make a run. So I don't mind Bublik at 14-1. I don't trust Fees at all. So I do think that Felix or Bublik can make a run here if, once again, you're looking at the potential draw going in their favor. But Felix is around 240. I didn't want to take it. I think that, once again, Felix looked extremely tired at the end of that Rublev match, and now he has a quick turnaround. I'll pass on him. Give me Bublik, and what I think could be a pretty decent Cinderella story at 14-1 for the other choice on the fourth quarter. Anyway, time for the Outrights to win the event over here in Dubai. Starting off with the odds to actually win the event, Medvedev's the favorite or co-favorite at 5-1. Rublev's 5-1 as well. Shop around. De Minaur is 5-1. Humbert is 10-1. Felix is 10-1. Leheshka's 14-1. Dimitrov's 14-1. Berrettini is 16-1. Gashanov's 20-1. Fees is 22-1. Tsitsipas's 25-1. Pericard's 25-1. Monfils is 35-1. Bergs is 40-1. Greek Sports 40-1. Zhang's 50-1. Morozin's 50-1. You kind of get the point. So for the outrights, we are, of course, going to recycle guys we took for the quarters. Give me de Minaur. I found a 650. I think it's a great price, especially when you look at the bottom half of the draw. Not bad. Rublev is off of a title, so there's a chance Rublev just completely no-shows or potentially withdraws from the event. If that's the case, you have a phenomenal draw for de Minaur to reach the final. Give me him at 650. Rublev, I am going to go with at 850 as well. Wanted to stay with the bottom half. Rublev's quarter is an absolute joke, and I think that if he's fully healthy and not exhausted, I like the overall path in the semis here last year. Of course, he ended up getting thrown out of the event by cursing out a line judge, but still, 850 for a guy that seemed to find his form. Seemed like mentally he found a certain adjustment to make with the meditation, which resulted in a title. Give me him at 850. Think the price is way too high. Said before, DraftKings at 5-1, FanDuel at 850. So if you want to give me a $3 differential with one of the favorites to win the event, I will take that every time. 850 though, like the price there. Give me Humbert as well at 950. Said before that nobody has won back-to-back titles here in Dubai since 2015, but Humbert, I think, is in very good form. He's a very good player. I think 950 is just a price that I really can't ignore. It's a very, very good price. I get he plays Leheshka in the first round, not exactly the best draw in the world, but I think 950 is too high for a player of Humbert's caliber on a hard court. Give me him at 950 as my last choice there for the outrights. Anyway, moving on to Santiago before we get into the preview of that event. I want to remember once again that we are brought to you by ADVERTISE because it is a sponsor of SGPN. It allows you the ability to avoid getting your card denied at the Sportsbook DFS site, sweepstakes site, racetrack, and casino. It gives you the opportunity to use the Premier Visa debit card for bettors. You can also earn cashback rewards, $50 per month in cashback rewards by using the Edge Boost card. You also earn your money saved as the card is FDIC insured, and best part, there are no credit checks, and it's completely free. Sign up today, though. Use the promo code SGPN to get better cash rewards and instant tier 2 status. Once again, if you want to get instant tier 2 status and get better cash rewards, use the link, edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN, edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. We're also brought by MyBookie. MyBookie is a place to bet on every sport. They have props in every game, live door casino as well. They also have customers for a ton of locations, and you can also use crypto for easy deposits and lightning fast payouts. And a reminder, you can also use the promo code SGPN when you head to mybookie.ag. Use promo code SGPN for a 1% deposit match up to $1,000, any $10 casino chip. MyBookie.ag, promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast. Finished breaking down the outrights here in Dubai. Time to move on into Santiago. So this is the only clay event of the week, going to be taking place in Chile. And for the recent winners, Baez did win the title here last year, so he should be showing up to try to defend his title in this one. He's against Tabilo, or he beat Tabilo in the final last year. So Jari beat Echeverry in the final the year prior. Martinez beat Baez, and Garin beat Bagnes. So if you're doing the math at home, it does mean that a Chilean has made the final in 3 of the last 4 years. So there has been some home court advantage. The crowd's very, I'd say, noisy over there in Chile, and I think that they're going to be getting behind their guys in the event. So keep that in mind if you do want to back Tabilo or Jari or even Garin, who's a wild card entry for the event. Keep it in mind, one of these guys might make a deep run. Now, for the outrights, we have no quarter picks, so once again, apologies there. For the actual outrights, though, starting off with the odds for the outrights. Starting off with Cerundolo as the favorite at 6-1. You have De Gea at around 650. Baez at 850 off the title there in Rio. You have Navone at 9-1. Echeverry is a 9-1 as well. Jari is 10-1. Tabilo is 12-1. Martinez is 16-1. Carabelli is 18-1. You have Seabold Wild at 21-1. You have Montero at 21-1. Comasagna, 25-1. Diaz Acosta at 25-1. Darderi, 29-1. Mutet, 36-1. You kind of get the point. So for the outrights in the event, first things first, I am going to go with De Gea at 7-1. I understand that it's a bit of a surprise his odds are so low, but the draw is actually very nice. So going through the second quarter draw here, he has Buse in the first round as a wild card, who's been really bad lately. Has Martinez in the second round. He's actually 3-0 lifetime against Martinez, so he has a pretty good head-to-head advantage. We saw him look good in Buenos Aires, did lose to Fonseca in a 3-set marathon there in the, I believe it was the semis. Fonseca won the event. So really no shame there, but De Gea looked good through qualifying. I think he found his form on clay. I like his overall path. In his quarter as well, you have Seabold Wild, you have Faria, you have Darderi. Not the greatest competition there for the second quarter. I am going to go with De Gea at 7-1 as my first choice for the outrights on this one. For my second choice, I think I am going to go with the... it's really tricky because he did just play in an event and he actually won. But I think I have to take it for the sake of his, I'd say, clay prowess. I got to go with Baez at 850. I understand fatigue could be an issue, but I just mentioned a second ago, he won the title last year, and he won Rio last year. So he was able to actually go back-to-back last year. So fatigue's not a concern for me because he's done this before. We saw him look extremely sharp in the final against Mueller, looked great in the final sets against Ugo Carabelli. I think that his path is fine. Feels like Baez and Navone are in the same quarter in every damn clay tournament, but I think that his overall path might not be the easiest, but with how well he played down the stretch and with him having a bye in the first round, think the overall, once again, form might be too much for other guys to handle. But he has Comasagna potentially in the second round. He has potentially Mutet or Navone in the quarters. I understand it might be difficult, but I think you're looking at Baez, who is one of the best clay players here. You could argue the best clay player here. And off a title, in good form, think that it's a good price at $850. I'll take that as my second choice. For the third choice, I am going to go with the home country guy. Give me Jari at 10-1. Said before, you tend to see at least one Chilean make a deep run. Jari won the title here a couple years ago, and he has a pretty good draw as well. Has Ugo Carabelli into the first round. Then he has JM Cerundolo or Montero in the second round. He just beat Cerundolo in the last event, so I think that it will be able to beat him again. Then you have Coria or potentially Tabilo. Tabilo's been really, really bad over the last year, so I think you're looking at a spot where Jari can get an advantage there, or maybe Coria beats him outright. But Tabilo, I understand, is Chilean as well. Bad form. I thought Jari looked okay in the last event he was in. I think that the crowd advantage will help him over the course of this event. So give me 10-1 for his actual draw. Bottom half, so maybe he face off against Baez in the semis, which would not be ideal, but I think 10-1 is a good price for what I said before. is a home country guy, and a home country guy's made the final here in Chile in 3 of the last 4 years. So I think that there's some value at 10-1. For my long shot, though, I am going to go Seabold Wild, though, at 21-1. Actually, a former champion. Won the title here a couple years ago, and you're looking at a guy who's good on clay. He also has a pretty decent draw in the actual event. He is in the same section as De Geer. So if De Geer and Martinez have a war and maybe one of them ends up slumping in the match after, I think the path for Seabold Wild is too good to pass up on. Has Heidi in the first round as a qualifier, which should be interesting, but I think Seabold Wild is the better player. Then Faria, who had a pretty long run there in the event we just saw in Rio. And then you ended up seeing Darderi, who's been a mess since winning his inaugural event in the ATP Tour. So based on the overall guys in his actual section, I think there's a path for Seabold Wild to make a deep run. Said before he won a title here. He's in the top half of the draw. First quarter, by the way, Cerundolo. You have Hanfman or Diaz Acosta, Garin, Fikovic, Echeverry, or Gaston. So not exactly a lot of great competition there in the first quarter. Cerundolo has been underwhelming, I'd say. So far, made the final in Buenos Aires. Did lose to, once again, Fonseca in the final convincingly, or I should say it should have been convincingly. The second set was competitive for no reason. But still, Cerundolo has been underachieving, so I'm not exactly sold on taking him as a favorite. He could get upset early. Wouldn't shock me. Also played a lot of tennis recently, playing in Buenos Aires and in Rio, so I think he could be exhausted. But I think you're looking at a good path for a former champion at 21-1 for what I think is a pretty, once again, good draw. And I think that that's a good price. Give me Seabold Wild, though, at 21-1 as my last pick for the outrights there in Santiago. Moving on to the outrights in Acapulco. So for the event, the recent winners, you saw De Minaur beat Ruud. De Minaur won the year prior against Paul, but he's not here again to try to three-peat. So keep that in mind. Nadal won the year prior against Nori. You saw Zverev beat Tsitsipas. So we have a new winner for the upcoming event because De Minaur is not here. So for the outrights here, Paul is playing, so keep that in mind. In fact, Paul and Ruud are both going to be here. So you have the two runner-ups of the last 2 years are back in the event. Now for the outrights here, you have Zverev at plus 350. Shop around, you have Paul at 550, Shelton at 6-1, you have Shapo at 7-1, you have Ruud at 9-1, you have Rune at 10-1, Makic at 10-1, Mensik at 14-1, you have Tiafoe at 14-1, Musetti at 20-1, assuming he's healthy, Vakina at 22-1, you have Mikkelsen at 22-1, Nakashima 25-1, Kikmanovic, fresh off the title there in Delray Beach, he is around 28-1, Arnaldi is around 33-1, Giron 33-1, Nori is 40-1, Kaboli 66-1, you kind of get the point. So for the actual outrights here, will I take Zverev? No, I can't do it. I tried to give out some outrights on him in the clay slate, but to be honest, I just can't trust him at this point. He's the favorite in every event he's in, basically, and he seems to always have a mental breakdown over the course of a match in the event. Can't do it, not interested. He played clay as well. Should be tired playing clay for the last couple of weeks, and now he's back to hard court. Not the best draw going to Mexico and then having to potentially win a title here. I know he did win a title a couple years ago. Not the best draw for him, though. Arnaldi's not the easiest guy to face off against in the first round. Then Shapo or Nori. Not an easy draw for the second round either. Same quarter, as Makic or Mensik or Kekmanovic. So really not a great draw for Zverev. I'm going to pass on him there. Not worth the actual price. However, I am going to go with the other favorite here. I am going to go with Paul to get the job done here. Think his quarter is a lot more manageable than Zverev's based on competition. Paul's at 550. He has a qualifier in the first round, then either Giron or qualifier in the second round, then probably Musetti, who's also potentially injured. So I'll see Musetti plays here. He's also more of a clay guy than a hard court guy, or Mikkelsen in the potential quarters. Pretty decent quarter for Paul to have a good path in. We know that his overall stamina is a plus for his game, and with the overall conditions in Mexico, could be a problem, but I think Paul should look sharp in this one. Bottom half of the draw, though, would be Ruud, or looking at the likes of Tiafoe maybe. But I think that the bottom half of the draw is where I wanted to target. I think that there's a pretty weak field there, and I think you can find a couple of openings for a guy to make a deep run. So give me Paul at 550 as my first outright for Acapulco. Second outright, though, is going to be on Shapo at 10-1. Yes, it is dangerous with him having to face off against Nori in the first round and Zverev in the second round. But Shapo looked great in Dallas. Think that he can build on that. I think that if Shapo is back at his old form, he's a very dangerous hardcourt player, especially if the volley game is on point, and we know Zverev does have a deep return position. I think that Shapo can use certain volley and some serves out wide to find an upset if he ends up facing off against Zverev in the second round. But Shapo, I think, is a very good hardcourt player when he's on, he's definitely dangerous, and he did win a title at the end of last year, won a title this year. If he continues that, I'd say, recent form, and he keeps playing well, 10-1 is a good price. I think that he's a guy who can go the distance if he ends up going on a deep run, and I think that he can, once again, use the serve and the overall firepower to find openings in this tournament. So give me Chapo at 10-1 as my second choice. For the third choice, I am going to go with Ruud at 11-1. Said before that I wanted to go after the bottom half of the draw. Very weak. Ruud's quarter is an absolute joke. He has Rinderknech in the first round. You know my thoughts on him. I don't think Rinderknech is any good. Then Vukic or a Mexican wild card. So probably Vukic in the second round, which he should be favored against. Then either Tiafoe, Mueller off the final in Rio, or Fekina or a qualifier. Now, Tiafoe is probably going to struggle because he's outside of America, and it seems like he's only good in America. Tiafoe is also a guy I can't trust to do anything. Now, it's a decent, I'd say, court for his skill set, but I just can't trust him, and I think that that's going to be a problem for him over the course of the event. So Tiafoe and Fekina might kill each other, but you're looking at Ruud having Rinderknech and probably Vukic in the first two rounds. Very good draw for Ruud. He made the final in Dallas for losing to Chapo. So I think you're looking at a decent draw for Ruud. We saw him look good in the United Cup. He made the final in Dallas. Think he can find a good path here. 11-1, though, is just a great price. I can't really ignore that. I think 11-1 is worth something. I'll take that as my last choice for the outright. So once again, the preview for the outrights in the three events for the upcoming week. For Dubai, for the first quarter, I'm going to go with Humbert at 3-1 and Griekspoor at 9-1, going to fade Medvedev. For the second quarter, giving Dimitrov by himself at plus 260. Third quarter, we have nothing, but it's a Rublev or pass. Fourth quarter, we're going to go with Dimonauer at 130, and we're going to go with Bublik as our long shot at 14-1. For the outrights in Dubai, we have Dimonauer at 650, Rublev at 850, and we also have Humbert at 950. For Santiago, we only have outrights for the event. To win the event, we have De Gier at 7-1. We have Baez at 850. We have Jari at 10-1, and we have Seaboth Wild at 21-1. For the Acapulco outrights, once again, we do only have the outrights to win the event. We are going to go with Paul at 550, Chapo at 10-1. We also are going to go with Ruud at 11-1. That's going to wrap it up, though, for the outrights. And now it's time for the lock and dog picks. For that, though, remember once again that we are brought to you by our sponsor, Rhythm, because Rhythm is having an epic March Madness party, and you're invited. All Rhythm users are invited to the first four watch party, Wednesday, March 19th at the awesome Stadium Swim at Circa Las Vegas. Free drinks, plus you get to hang out with the guys from Sports Gambling Podcast and College Experience. I will be there, so if you want to find me there, you can definitely stop by. Reminder, though, it also gets better. Rhythm's also giving out a great deal giveaway, $250 March Madness future for one lucky Rhythm user. To sign up for your 7-day free trial by going to sgpn.com/rhythm. Reminder, come by and use Rhythm to help you fill out your bracket and make some bets along the way. While you're there, a free party plus chance at a $250 future bet. Go to sportskings.com/party, sportskings.com/party for the details. We're also brought to you by Underdog. Reminder, if you want to try making some money with the Underdog Fantasy Pick'em, you can try so. With the different sports they offer, they have a lot of options on the menu. They have NBA, NHL, college basketball, tennis as well, esports, whatever sport you can think of. They most likely have. When you do sign up for your new account, they use promo code SGPN, especially for a first-time deposit offer up to 1K bonus cash. Especially picking first-time deposit offer up to 1K in bonus cash when you sign up for your new account with the code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast. Finished breaking down the outrights for Acapulco, Dubai, and Santiago. Now it's time for the lock and dog picks. For the lock, I am going to go with Dubai, and I am going to go with the matchup between Morozin and Agut. Mentioned before that Agut might be washed. I'm going to test that theory. Give me Morozin on the money line at minus 145. Now, if you don't have this available, some books have minus 165. I saw DraftKings did. I'd say if it's over 155, I would take the minus 1.5 games instead. But I think that it's a very good price for a guy that has been really bad lately. You can fade. Agut has lost 6 straight, and 5 of those losses were in straight sets. The one exception, I believe, was a 4-set loss in the Aussie Open, but he's been really, really bad. I'd say Manarino's been worse, but Agut's not that far ahead. He's been really bad, losing 6 straight. And Morozin, I think, is a pretty good hardcore player. He has been okay lately, not great. He's 9-6 in his last 15. Tends to get out of the first round, then he loses to better competition in the second round. But you're looking at a guy who I think is the better player right now at this stage in their careers. You know that Agut is a former champion here. I believe back in 2018, he was also a 2-time champion in Doha, or I should say a 2-time finalist in Doha, and he lost in the first round to Bergs. So it's not like he's really done much in the events he's even been good at over the years. But fading a guy that's lost 6 straight at minus 145, I think is a great price, especially when you can find 165 at other spots. But I think that Morozin is the better player right now. They've split the head-to-head. Agut beat Morozin comfortably last year in their meeting, but that was dated because Agut's fallen off a cliff based on form. But if I can get 145 with a pretty good hardcore player, fitting a guy that's lost 6 straight, 5 of them in straight sets, I just think it's a great price, taking a, once again, opponent to struggle again in the spot. Give me Morozin as my lock at minus 145 on the money line as my play. For the dog, though, I'm going to go back to the Paracard bandwagon. Give me the first set over 10.5 this time at plus 105 on DraftKings. I think it's a good spot for him and Zhang to showcase their good serving. This bet is cashed in 10 of the last 15 Paracard matches, so he tends to have some marathon first sets. Both players, though, are good servers. We saw Zhang serve well in Marseille, did eventually beat Hurkacz, had a breaker in there. Think you might end up seeing a lot of easy holds between two good servers and two guys that are really not that good at returning. Both guys, though, you could argue, once again, might end up having a serious 3-set marathon. Maybe you get a breaker in the first 2 sets. I don't see main break points at all in the course of the matchup, and the tie break in the match is minus 215. So if you're going to be a tie break for the match at any point at minus 215, why do not go for the first set? 10.5 at plus 105. You can get 12.5 if you want to go for that for the first set breaker at plus 150. I didn't mind it. Zhang, those had a couple 7-5s in the first set. I think you're looking at a spot where both guys should serve well. I think both guys will once again not really do much returning wise, and I think that both guys should be able to hold regularly for the first set. I think plus 105 is a great price. We know that we've done very well at taking this Paracard first set angle over the games all year. I'm going to go back to it with him returning action. Give me the first set over 10.5 as my dog at plus 105. So once again, he plays here for the first round of these events. The lock's going to be on Morozin money line against Agut at minus 145. For the dog, I'm going to go with Paracard and Zhang first set over 10.5 games at plus 105. Let's wrap it up for the actual episode. A reminder, back once again for the quarterfinals in the events. Now, I have to admit, because Acapulco is going to be finishing very late almost every night, most likely not going to cover Acapulco for a while. We're just going to cover, we'll put it that way. Went to the outrights. Probably not going to break down the quarters in the upcoming episode. Dubai, we definitely will. Those matches are early. Santiago is kind of on the fence because they also finished the matches late. So we'll definitely be back for a Dubai. Not sure about Santiago or once again Acapulco for the quarters. Maybe the semis are onward. We'll see. But we'll definitely be back for the quarters in Dubai. Till next time, find me on Twitter, Reichel Radio. Find me on the NBA show. Find me on the MLB show. Find me on the propcast as well for the MLB season for some props. Reminder, you can also show support by leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel. And also a reminder, don't forget to check out the merch store for some great Tennis Game Podcast merch. Till next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.